morning. Thank y'all for coming out.
Bullock County Commission Special Call Meeting, Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. Chairman Ellis Jr.
Here.
Commissioner Larkins, Commissioner Adams, Commissioner McGowan,
Here.
Commissioner Marlowe Jr.,
Here.
Attorney Ward, here. We have a quorum.
Mr. Baldwin, this is a prayer declaration.
Oh, Mr. Father, thank you for this day. Please come to the violation of all our God. Thank you for our well-being and thank you for this great county of Bullock, Lord. As we be in the midst of our meeting, give us your direction and the option to make things that are pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I can say that open that Commissioner Larkins, due to medical reason, wants to be involved in the meeting electronically. So we dialed him up and included him into the conversation as well. Yes, sir. Hey, Commissioner Larkins. Hey, yes, sir. We got you in the meeting here, man. We put it on record that you are, due to medical reasons, participating in the meeting electronically.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, gentlemen. We got Adam this here.
Commissioner Adams made this.
Okay.
Let's explain to Commissioner Walker that you can't vote.
Okay, Commissioner Larkins, we just talked with Attorney Waters. He said that you can participate, but you can't vote. Commissioner McGowan, Attorney Waters, you want to explain it to me?
That was you could, and all, throughout all this code stuff, and once it got lifted, you can participate in the discussion at the meeting without problem, but they don't allow voting by phone, at this time. I just,
You still want to be involved here, or?
well, sure you want to be in the discussion. I would, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, I'm being discussing, but that's fine. I'll be in discussion.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve this agenda?
Well, you're coming out of recess. On recess, we're just coming back into session. We recessed until this guy was reconvened.
All right. Jim? Do you like to hear anything from Ms. Prairie on these contracts?
Mr. Chairman, has everyone had an opportunity to look at the three contracts before us and understand? I'm just curious if we all had a chance to look at them. Okay, so we looked at them.
Yes, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Just bring up where we are.
We can't hear? Okay.
We went in recess, because at the time we did not have a detention center to place on the contract. That's what the purpose of this meeting is, to add a detention center on the Alabama subsidy contract. And with that being said, through thorough discussion, at the time we did not have a contract, any contract on file at that time. And since we've met, we received contracts from SAYS, am I correct? And we received contracts from Lee County Detention Facility, and we received contracts from Dallas County. So that's where we are now. We want to choose which this detention center we're going to add to this contract and submit this contract to the state for the subsidy. So that's the purpose of where we are now.
I had a recommendation to us.
I've used Lee County before and I've used SAYS before. Both are okay facilities. I would say SAYS is by far better with resources, especially for a county like us that doesn't have resources. They are able to provide more resources to our county because they have a boys' home, they have a girls' home, they have a facility in Louisville. They have been willing to transport for me, so we didn't have to use our county's funds and resources to do transportations to and from other facilities, especially when a child had to be involved with CAC or something like that down in Dothan. They have been willing to make those transports for me. They have certainly helped me when I've been in the bind as far as beds were concerned, where I did not get that same reciprocation from Lee County, which is why we left Lee County in the first place. I know that there was an email yesterday about Lee County saying that we could have extra bed space. And my question to that is that's never been on the table before. So is that before or after adjudication? After adjudication, they have been willing to say, okay, well, this juvenile's adjudicated, they're waiting on DYS transport, we will allow you to have another bed space, but only after adjudication. They would not allow me to have more than one prior to adjudication. Meaning I had to pick and choose who was the worst of the two, to be able to send more than one over there.
Or if you have two in the same incidents, you know, they both got picked up at the same time because they were together, you would not be able to send them both for the same crime. You would have to pick one, and only one could go.
So that is my issue with Lee County. Ms. Birmingham has always been good to me. I can't say a bad thing about her. And she has been willing to work with me after adjudication, meaning after the juvenile has gone forward and we found guilty and they're waiting on a DYS transport. I have never used Dallas County. Dallas County's sort of far out there. They don't have the resources that I think these other two facilities do. I know that both Lee County and SAs have a psychiatrist there that can evaluate some of these children, and when mental evaluations are ordered, that's a big thing. We have to get transport to and from those facilities, and it is up to our county to do that. It is not up to that facility to transport those juveniles. All of that falls back on the county. So, you know, if the sheriff's department is short-staffed and we have to bring somebody in that's off duty and pay them overtime, and we have to use county resources to go over there and get the juvenile from that facility and transport them to a medical facility and then transport them back.
Even if it's just a mile or across the street.
We are required to do that. I am not allowed by law to transport a juvenile, so I couldn't even go over there and do that. It has to be law enforcement, and it has to be from our county. So my issue with going to Selma is it's much farther out. There's less resources over there. Having our county officers having to go to Selma to make a transport back to Montgomery for medical issues and then back to Selma. I think that's not exactly the best idea, but it's ultimately y'all's decision. I think out of the three contracts you have in your hand, Lee County or SAs would be the better of the two, or the three. Both those facilities are nice facilities. You know, I have a pretty good reputation and rapport with SAs because we use them. But again, it's, y'all, the county's the one that's responsible for the bill, so the county's the one that has to decide.
Joe?
For a full year, we can't swap and change in the middle of the year.
I mean, I just look at it like this. If this is my child, and my child is in this predicament, what facility do I want my child to have to go to? If they're in a position that they have to go, they don't have a choice.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
as far as the contract for Lee County, have you seen this one?
It's probably the exact same thing as what it is every year. They don't change them very much.
Yes. And that's what I was thinking about that.
It's basically the same thing that it is every year.
And what's that price, $85 a day at that time?
Because I think the social code is up to 16. Yeah, it's actually like,
Yeah.
8,240.
Still low.
Yeah.
It's still low if you don't utilize that budget. You don't use
If
it.
you don't utilize it.
If you don't have anybody go there, she said that's still low.
Right.
Okay.
How much is the DYS subsidy? How much do they pay these detention centers?
16,
It's $14,000.
Last
Give or
year, about,
take.
well.
It's like 14,000 last year.
Okay.
But I think that because of cost increases on literally everything, that they have upped that to right around 16,000. It's like 1166 a day, or a week, what is it, 1166?
Is that a month? 1166?
1166 a month. is
Right.
what it comes out to.
Yeah.
It's the subsidy that we get.
You multiply that, it was about that 14.
Yes, 12 months, right. I see what Attorney, Commissioner Adams saying, I mean, because we did budget about 23,000. So you said, I mean, for example, this Lee County contract, we're showing 32,923, which is 8,200 quarterly. Okay, so if we budgeted 23,000, the state is gonna cover 16. Anything in excess of that, we got to cover with that 23,000. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I guess my question is this in addition to the 16,000?
For that 13.
No, it's 32,000.
It
32,900.
appears to be.
Yes.
It's in addition to the 16,000.
Wow, I got you.
So with Say's, is there an additional amount, or do they just do one bed for whatever the state
So
subsidy?
they charge $126 a day for the bed, but that covers,
That's only if they're there.
if they're there. We only get charged if they're there. But again, they have a psychiatrist there, they have medical staff there, they have,
Psychiatrist, counselor, medical staff.
they have all of that there, and so
We've used
that's
them all.
in that $126 a day. So, you know, I don't know what the math comes out to on that, I can't do the math like that in my head at the moment.
You wanna know which one is cheaper? It's kind of hard to figure out.
So,
Yeah.
I said 126 to 85 is really changed the dynamics of it now. 85 looks better, just
what
so
was the
85.
number, 34, what?
32,923.
So are they saying we get this price?
It's $90 a day, any $90 a day.
But they got more to offer
Says does.
than Dallas County.
Says has both the boys' home and the girls' home. They have a new Louisville facility they just opened up, and they're fixing to open up another facility that we will be able to utilize.
And they get a lot of transport that we don't have
Compared to Lee County, do we know if Lee County has psychiatrists and have all of that, do they have?
They do. They do have a psychiatrist on staff at Lee County. And they do have medical staff on staff at Lee County. Lee County would definitely be my second option, my second choice. And the only reason Says is my first is because they were more willing to work with me than Lee County was. Now, Lee County's closer, obviously, it's in Opelika. Lee County has a nice facility, just like Dothan does. Lee County has very nice staff. None of my juveniles have ever, complained that it was terrible over there. I will say, the majority of them have come back and said that they prefer Dothan over Lee County, but I mean, it's a detention facility, you know,
to. Lee County's always full too. I mean, it covers it. Opelika, Auburn, Macon County, I don't know what all counties go
Russell.
to Lee County, but it is always full, which is why we had a problem with sending more than one, because they have to keep a bed for us, just one. And they would take children if they had a bed available, whereas Dothan always had open spots. That's why we moved.
It seems like we're paying for another bed, and we contract to pay it, they would have to have one for us, we're gonna pay $32,000 annually for that.
for two would just be for one bid, right?
One day.
Not two.
So if we have two juveniles that go out at 15 years old and commit armed robbery, and they're charged with a class A felony, but they're not 16, so they can't be charged as adults, we have to house two juveniles, and if they say, well, I'm sorry, we're full, we only have one bed, I have to pick and choose who's the most serious of the two. So I leave one out on the street, and I send one. So then we have a problem, because now I have a juvenile that's just committed armed robbery still here. So does that, I mean, you see what I'm saying, like, how does that not pose a threat to the community? I mean, so I guess that's kind of, you have to take all these factors into consideration of when you're choosing one of these facilities.
So would it not apply to any of the others as well? If they just have the one bed designated for us and they're full too, that would apply across the board, I would think. We didn't have a room.
Do we have to be just one, choose just one, could we do bids for Lee County and?
You can't have two contracts. No, trust me, I have asked that question multiple times, because I was in a situation where, I mean, 2 months after I started, and I think you were in on this case with me, where I had a juvenile here from out of state that required to be detained until that other state could come down here and get them. And I already had a juvenile in my bed in Lee County, and Lee County would not take them. And I called Montgomery, I called all across the state, begging for beds, begging other counties to let me borrow a bed. And Dothan is the only one that said, sure, send her on. They did all of my transports for me, and were able to get her to CAC and back, and they were the only ones that opened up their doors and said, we'll help you out.
Jim, y'all ready to make this? Oh,
I got one question. When you say you can't have multiple facilities or utilize multiple facilities, are you talking about just for subsidy purposes? Because
For subsidy purposes.
but what I'm saying is, if you, let's just say they pick Lee County, and we assigned our subsidy from the state to Lee County for that bed, but we needed a second bed, could you call another facility and just be straight up pay? Or you just say that you can't use two? You understand my question?
You can't have a contract with two facilities. Now, if I get in a
You
situation.
can have contracts for the subsidy for two facilities, I understand that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean if your subsidy goes to Lee County, you
A lot of them are going to, like Montgomery told me, you don't have a contract with us, you cannot send them here.
Well, you can always enter in one,
That-
that may be for the
so
subsidy, but
that-
it may be for the, just straight up.
The only way that that's ever happened before is if we call another county and say, hey, can we borrow your bed? Or do you have a bed available? And we, like Macon County, hey, she would call the JPO over there and say, hey, can we borrow your bed? We're in desperate need. And they allow it, but they have to call that facility and say, yes, they are using my bed for right now.
What do we do, reimburse Lee County? I mean, Macon County for that bid?
No, because they authorized it. That's
What I'm saying, they would usually Macon County subsidy to pay for that
Yeah.
Macon County
Macon
that
County.
we use.
Yes.
They're holding.
The question
It's like
would be,
Macon
would
County
we
holding it
have to
with ours.
compensate Macon County for use of that bid?
We haven't before because the JPO over there would authorize our usage of their bed.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Both 5 kids commit crime together.
Correct.
That we-
Right,
we have
right.
to
You
do
would have
that.
to find somewhere for them to go. And the way the juveniles are going these days, it's rough. I mean, they're doing everything together. And there's really no recourse for it because we don't have anywhere to send them.
Well, just,
We've got some right now that need to get picked up, but we have nowhere to go.
man, I will say this, and I'm trying to, there's a possibility that the exact scenario is about to happen.
Right. It happens, I mean, like, I know of 3 that need to get picked up right this moment, but we have nowhere for them to go. And it is not some petty crime. They're like class A felonies.
I think you're about to see a very large spike in juvenile crime. And it's not just here, it's across
No,
the
it's
board.
everywhere.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Doctor, what are the financial, which one of these, can we afford the 32? Is that set in the budget?
Only thing we said in the budget is per, what she brought to the table in that budget letter, the 23,000 with 116.
Right, and that's what I brought
Mhm.
after the subsidy of the utilization of an extra bed, because we don't always utilize a bed. But when we do, we usually utilize one or two beds, and we have the subsidy to cover one. And so I put in the budget for half a year for another bed.
Just for half a year.
Right. Because, I mean, like, we have two right now that are being detained. But we may go 4 or 5 weeks without two being detained. We may go 4 or 5 weeks with only one being detained.
Or 2 months.
For 2 months. Or then we
Comes
may,
in waves.
we may come up and have 3 weeks where we have 4 detained. But they're only detained for a period of 6 days. So I put one bed in there for a period of 6 months to help offset the costs of the subsidy. Because I know, I mean, I can just tell you, from where we were last year to where we are this year, the amount of juvenile crime has been astronomical. When I started this job, my list, my probation list, I had 6 juveniles on that probation list. As of today,
That was 2020.
I have almost 24, 23, fixing to be 24, which is a lot. And that number's only going up. And I try to be very meticulous about who I send and who I don't. And when I call down there and I say, hey, I got one sending, I'm fixing to send you one, they know that they're fixing to have their hands full. I've kind of gotten that reputation of when she sends one, that they need to be down here. Because I know our county is not rich like Jefferson or Mobile or whatever. I mean,
Limited funds.
yeah. So I'm very meticulous about who I recommend going to the judge. I try to be. And I try to find other facilities for these kids to go to, like the Boys Home, Prairie Girls Home, or there's a facility up in Prattville that I send a lot of them to. So I try to be meticulous about how long I keep them in the diversion center, and who I send to the diversion center. I'm not going to send your average chins to the diversion center because it's a chins. So I bring in an in-home service, and they come in the home and they do skills with the parents and with the child and with all the family members in the home. I mean, I'm not that JK. And I always put myself in the shoes of, if this was my child, what would I want somebody doing with my child if this was my child?
We can certainly appreciate that, and we appreciate what you just brought to us and said. But now, Commissioners, my thought, the one we just had, was a call Thursday that they were going to put our people out if we didn't pay a bill at a certain time. We've got an urgent matter here at hand. Lee County seems to be convenient and almost compatible to what we have, but that bill, it is not our fault. We never got the monthly bill, we didn't know anything about it or all that, but they're demanding payment on that, or they're going to let our people go. So there's some uncertainty around SACE or whatever it is as we stand here today, and we need to get this in. I spoke with EYS, and they're not sending the money, they're waiting on us. I told them we were meeting today, Chris Narcy said something with EYS, and he said they're waiting on this to release our money, so we have to get this in, and we got to do something. And so with all that uncertainty, we got to get it in. I recommend just doing what Lee County now, it's just a 1-year contract from year to year. We evaluate, we know more about it today than we did yesterday, and we can make decisions going down the road and make better decisions, about this, but sure that we have somewhere, the judge has somewhere, place to send one without anyone talking about, you don't go out if you don't pay this certain time. We're gonna have to pay it, like the attorney said, and make arrangements to pay it, you know, but it wasn't in our budget, we can't just go pay it now, drop and pay it and stuff like that, so, what's your thought, commissioners? I mean, we gotta do this.
Did you talk to Saves and?
I did, and they are willing to work, with Bullock County, and all they're asking for is a payment plan for a show of good faith.
Are they willing to enter into this contract with us? I guess they are.
They are.
The other thing is if we go to Lee County, we have to transport the children that are in Sage right now to Lee County, and that's 2 children already. They are waiting on transport to DYS.
Well, I'm looking at that $85.90, you said $126 a day, and this is not getting any better, it's only gonna get worse, so the cost is gonna escalate, just like it's escalating on that end there with what's coming up, so the cost is gonna be running on up there, you know, and because it'll be more and more, and $26 a day as opposed, you said it's $90 a day, but they have for additional bed. That's still $36 more a day to stay without limited budget.
I think the difference in that though is that with your $36 a day that you're talking about, you're gonna be required to pay that $36 a day regardless of if you have a child in that bed or not. We're in Dothan, you're not.
So in Dothan, we only pay when a child is there.
Right.
If one child is there for 1 day, we pay.
$126.
And we get credit for 14,000, whatever it is.
That's correct.
So if 4 children are there for 7 days, that's 28 days times 120, is it 120 something? And then if we haven't used up our subsidy for the year, it'll pay more.
No, I think the subsidy just covers 1 bed permanent, you got a bed.
Yeah.
Year round, it doesn't cover anything else, it's got your bed for that year, the subsidy does, you know, guarantees a bed for that year. And there's nothing, it doesn't go any further than that, you know, it covers that 1 bed. It's always there available.
The subsidy, so if we have a juvenile in there for, I don't know, 7 days, our subsidy will cover, $11.66 of that 7 days, and then we'll be charged for $126 a day. But if we've used our subsidy for the month and we have a juvenile there for 3 days, then we have $126 for 3 days, and then they're out in 3 days, and we don't owe any more money because we don't have a juvenile there. We're only being charged for the days that they're there.
What if there's a credit, and we don't use all the subsidy in 1 month, do they?
That subsidy goes to our bill.
So they do credit, yesterday, they told us that it doesn't, there wasn't, there was a lot of information that was going back and forth yesterday. Number one would say, they made aware to us that they had already started receiving state subsidy on our behalf. And that alarmed me, because there's no possible way they could be receiving state subsidy. We haven't signed a contract yet. So I don't know where that information came from or how that came about. But for say that they're already receiving our subsidy, that made me feel some kind of way. And I called DYS and talked with the county finance manager, Ms. Latonya Bowman, and she explained to me the importance of this contract, and they're waiting on Bullock County. They're waiting on us. And she said that SAGE is not receiving subsidy. So whoever put that information out from SAGE yesterday, I don't know what tactic that was to make it seem like we need to do this. So that's my uncertainty with SAGE at this point.
I got the same information. I did my due diligence to a call, and they hooked up and said, no subsidy's been paid for this year. They're waiting on this before they can submit a subsidy to anyone. They're waiting on this, so I asked that question too.
Would SAGE write off some of that deal if we set up a payment plan?
They already have.
Would they write off some more?
That's a question that you could ask them. They wrote off,
I think it's 30-something thousand.
18, total like 69.
We're not deal with SAGE regardless after this leave, whoever we use. So I think what's at hand, we choose a detention center right now, and then we'll work with SAGE. Whether we choose
so
that.
I take that back. They have not written anything off for the 23 fiscal year. They wrote off 20,000 for the 22 fiscal year, and then they wrote off a portion for the 21 fiscal year.
I was thinking it was about 30,000, roughly.
But that would,
Why we didn't get the bills and didn't know about any of this?
because the bills were coming to me with juvenile name on them. Y'all are not allowed to have a bill with a juvenile name on it because the juvenile record is sealed. And I was under the impression that the redacted bill was coming to the county commission without their names on it. And I did not realize until later that y'all were never getting a redacted bill, which is why I never gave y'all bills. Now that I know this, I can redact the names off the bill and send the bill to you.
Or get them
Get them to send a redacted bill to you. But because the juvenile record is sealed, I can't.
Initials.
Because they said they were building the county, but they were building it too.
That's right. It was coming to my office and I did not know that y'all were not getting a redacted bill. Because I can't bring you a bill that has a juvenile name on it.
But y'all ready to make a decision on?
I got one more question. Can you explain, like, typically, how long does a child stay in there? And then, is the Department of Youth Services, at what point are they supposed to pick the child up and stop our building? Because if they don't pick the child up, then our building continues.
Which was my whole point and the reason I felt like the state owed this money. The problem is that in order to go back to the state, you have to have damages. And to have damages, you have to pay the bill. So you can say you have damages. So once the bill is paid, then you can go back to the state and try to get the money back from the state. Because I think it's, 7 days or something after notification to BYS that they're supposed to be making their arrangements to come and get them and take them to whatever facility they get staff for. That wasn't happening because the staff at BYS, they were losing them left and right when COVID happened. They ended up shutting down 2 BYS facilities, so kids were getting backlogged and they were getting stuck. And they were getting stuck, there was nowhere to move them. And that's what happened to us. We had 3 in a detention facility that all were waiting DYS transport, and they got stuck. And as soon as I found out about it and said, why are they still here? They were supposed to be moved months ago. And DYS is supposed to be picking up this bill because they're owing them. There's an order from a judge saying that they're in the custody of Department of Youth Services. What's going on? I called DYS and they said, oh, I'm sorry. And immediately moved them.
They said that they had gone through a list of secretaries at the time, and that 2 of them had left, and that our children were lost in the process.
So until COVID happened and these facilities started shutting down and DYS started losing staff, this was never an issue. The bill was never an issue.
No, because it always fell under our coverage, because we didn't have children sitting down there for months at a time. When a juvenile is picked up, we have 3 days to have a hearing. And usually that happens in that 3 days. I mean, unless it happened on a Friday afternoon and there's a holiday on Monday. And sometimes we have a hearing on that holiday. But after that hearing, then there's usually another hearing within 7 days. And the total time that that child is in our money bracket is about 10 days, 10 to 12 days. That would be the only time that we would have to pay. But if DYS doesn't come and pick them up, we're getting all kinds of mixed signals, because from what we've always done, from the moment that order is entered, that's DYS's child, and they're supposed to pay that facility. And it didn't. When that COVID shutdown happened, they quit doing it.
Is there a way we could put that in our contract, that after their
I doubt it.
change?
No, the way the law reads, it says that the county should be responsible for the bill. The issue I think that's coming into play though is there needs to be some new legislation done. I think they're working on new legislation,
And it and all of
Because the whole state is in this exact same boat of kids being left during this shutdown, and now these counties are stuck with these large bills. And so the state's position is well, your county owes it, and our position is, well, y'all owe it because you had notification within 7 days of the adjudication, and you still did not staff them or come get them. And your response to me was, we had a staffing change and they slipped under the rug. We're sorry.
Now, I have a question now. The two that we have there now, how long have they been there, and how long are they projected to be there now before they can get
They're
there?
both on adjudication orders. They're both waiting DUIs transport. They have already had their hearings with us.
So, how long do you think, I mean,
I
I'm
have
listening.
emailed 3 times to DYS asking when they're gonna be picked up and letting them know, our county cannot afford this, you have to come get them. And so if they are not picked up within the next week, I won't have a choice but to pull them out. Because
neither one of them have a home.
the county won't be able to do it, and so they'll have to go through the HR to find placement.
Yes. Neither one of these children have a home to go to. So they will have to go through DHR and do foster care, and they are delinquent children.
Yeah, but that's what I'm curious about, you know, that's how long does this go on, you know, and
Right.
It's,
Is there anything we can do on our end, you know, when they, you know, get past these deadlines, that we could write a letter to DYS or even our senator? I don't know that it would help a whole lot, but,
that's your attorney.
our representative, they write a letter to the governor or somebody that the State Department of, Youth Services is not doing what they're supposed to do.
I have called the DYS about this, and the last response I got from DYS was they were no longer allowed to talk to me about the bill.
Commissioner Larkin, you got anything there?
Yes, we discussed all this yesterday. There's vote on the facility, that's what we're supposed to be voting on. Let's not vote on that facility, and then you got kids in whatever facility that we can get them in. Then any other discussion, we need to have a work session. If they ain't ready to vote today, just reschedule the meeting until another day.
Commissioner Larkin,
Get the vote.
Commissioner Larkin, can you hear me? Can you hear me, this Attorney Ward? I need to clarify, Commissioner Marlowe brought it to my attention. I was mistaken when I told you about you couldn't vote. You can't, your vote can establish a quorum, but you can vote.
Yes, sir. You was an attorney and I didn't want to.
Well, I was mistaken. I just want to clear that up for the record.
Well, I got one more thought. I don't know if this is a possibility, but I wish we could, my thought is go with SACE, but at the same time, I don't know if we can call them today and work out a payment plan, see if they'll knock some more funds off. And let's set up a payment plan with them at the same time and get everything back on track like it needs to be. I don't know if they'll reduce the bill then, but it might be a good time to talk to them before we sign this contract. They might be more prone to reduce it before we sign this contract than it would be afterwards. Could we call them right now, see if they'll reduce the bill some, and see if we can set up a payment plan? Or
It's gonna take a while, Commissioner.
do you think they could tell us on the phone if they'll reduce the
It's not
bill?
here.
So-
I think they'd probably be more apt to reduce it if they still had our business.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We could say, we want to go back with y'all, can you reduce the bill, yeah, and let's set up a payment plan, let's get everything back on track. Well, that's what I'm saying, if we all agree to it, looks like we need to get this whole situation back on the train track, everything to me, I'd like to see it all get back on track. And the bill, past due bill and everything, and the contract, both contracts, and then we'll walk out of here today, we got us a good plan, we're back in, running like we need to be.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
It seems like we're not ready to vote. I would like to get great and good talk with Lee County center and see what has changed since the last time you spoke with them, and see what they have to offer, and for transportation or whatever, some of that may have changed. And you can come back to us, and that'll give us a chance to do a little bit more research if we need to, and we can talk to Sage if the
I'll
information we
be
talk to.
happy to talk to Ms. Birmingham and ask her. My biggest concern is prior to adjudication, not after. And that is where the problem lies, is prior to adjudication.
Can you bring that back to us? I don't understand that.
You want it that way, we'll take this out of the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Prior
Do
to,
we have that kind of time? How much time do we have before the
Or should
judge?
we recess and come back in a few days?
The only time is a subsidy contract, that's the time.
So the subsidy contract has to be approved first before you move to who you want to.
But they still can't send in the money until we
Right.
contract with the detention center.
Exactly.
So if you don't do both, I don't see where one helps anything.
What's our next regular, we meet, what, next week?
2 weeks from yesterday.
How much time the judge gonna give us to do this? Because we gotta have something to do.
I don't know if it's how much time the judge is going to do it, it's how much time the juveniles are going to need you to do it, because if we have an influx of juveniles tomorrow, and I've got 5 that committed armed robbery, nowhere to send them, that's,
So it's kind of urgent.
I mean,
Let's recess our meeting for 15 minutes, let's call Sage, see if they'll reduce their deal, so the payment plan. That's what I propose is, I make a motion that we recess our meeting for 15 minutes. Let's call Sage, see if we can work out a reduced payment, so the plan,
I'll call Ms. Birmingham in the meantime and speak with her, and then,
and come back into the meeting and make a decision if we're prepared to.
do y'all have a contact number for Ms. Birmingham?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think.
You do?
I got one question. I was confused about the Lee County. It's $8,000 a quarter for one meeting. What if you have 3 meetings? I'm just, did she, you talk to her,
The
John?
subsidy pays for one bed, the 8,000 pays for the second.
You gonna pay 8,000 no matter
No
what?
matter what.
Right.
But that's for a second bid.
Right, for the second.
Right.
And they're willing to give you give us another bed up to so many days, it's in their cover letter.
What does the 8,000 a quarter pay for?
Is that for a second bid?
Second bed. Second bed.
What pays for the first bid?
The subsidy.
So if we,
But if we run over the subsidy on the first bid.
You run over the subsidy on the first bid, and you're gonna be charged the daily rate, so you're gonna be charged the daily rate on the overs on the first bed, and you're gonna pay for a second bed regardless if you have 2 in there or not.
Can we just do one bid at Lee County?
No,
No.
that contract is for that $8,000 quarter.
That's what I was
For 2
saying was,
For 2 bids.
whether you.
so what if you got 3?
Well, we get
That's the
all
problem.
free.
The third one is free. So for the subsidy at 8,000 a quarter, you get as many bids as you need.
You get 2 beds.
You get 2, but what if you use 10?
You got to pay that rate.
I thought you said the third one was free.
But the third one's free.
What about the fourth?
Pay that rate.
Okay. So the third one's free and the fourth one you start paying again.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the first.
I was confused.
And the first one, you might have to pay additional money if the subsidy gets used up.
So we have recess, right?
No.
I ain't voted on that yet.
I make a motion that we recess for 15 minutes to try to make some phone calls, because this is our second meeting, this is urgent.
Make a motion.
Now, second the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Allen, second by Commissioner Gall, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries, going into recess.
For 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Chairman,
Yes, sir.
real quickly, did you find anything else, your recommendation after what we just heard? I mean, you're working with these individuals, did you get to talk to Ms. Birmingham just
I
now?
did talk to Ms. Birmingham. Ms. Birmingham confirmed that I was correct, that they were not gonna take more than 1 juvenile in the past. She said that that has changed. There's been such an influx of juveniles now that if we buy a bed number 2, our subsidy will cover part of bed number 1. Potentially all of it, depending on how many days we use it. We can buy bed number 2 and pay that $32,000 a year. We have to pay it regardless if we use it or not. And any juvenile after bed number 2, if we have bed number 2, that they would be for free. So if we have 4 juveniles, we pay for 2 beds. 3 juveniles, we pay for 2 beds. But we have to pay the $32,000 one way or the other.
Right.
So even, that's basically for insurance purposes, you gotta still hold it bid.
Oh, that bed. So it's,
What do you think is the way this thing is going now?
so it's $32,000 extra, plus you get your subsidy money, and that goes towards bed number 1, but if you go over those days on bed number 1, and you're using bed number 2, then you gotta pay the $90 or $91 a day on bed number 1. So, I'm no mathematician, I don't claim to be a mathematician, but I think you're gonna come out about the same, if not more, in Lee County than what it is. It doesn't matter to me either way. I mean, I like both facilities, I deal with both, I've dealt with Lee County, they've always been good to me, I've dealt with SACE, they've always been good to me. SACE has more to offer than Lee County does. I just have to have a place for it.
But with that being said, if you dealt with them, it sounds like you prefer dealing with SACE, and we're gonna get a discount on what we're gonna have to pay anyway. If we're gonna get a discount, you know, I think I'd be comfortable. This is a one-time, one-year deal, as things don't change next year, but I don't be comfortable going back to SACE with this contract if we're doing what they said we're gonna do. That's the way I feel. How do you feel, Commissioner? You gotta make a decision.
I'm the same, I feel like the same way. We need to get this training back on track. Next year, we can relook at, next year, we'll look at.
And next October, we can revisit it, and if we have a huge influx of juveniles, it may be worth paying an extra $32,000 a year to have 4 beds. I mean, it's just, that's just my opinion. I don't think we're there at this point.
Okay.
I think we're gonna come out better money-wise, doing what we're doing versus paying.
You're going to come out better if DYS does what they're supposed to do and gets back online and picks up these juveniles.
That is correct.
If they don't get back online and pick them up, the expenses are going to get high.
That is correct.
And it all comes down to what DYS is going to do.
Yeah, okay. Well, with that being said, to move along, I've got another engagement at lunchtime. I'm gonna make a motion then that we enter into the contract with SACE for our detention center for this coming year.
That's motion by Commissioner McGowan, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Allen, all in favor?
Uh,
Opposed?
All right. One opposed, what about Commissioner Larkin?
I think it's
What you
All
say?
right, go ahead. Get a motion, Larry, you oppose.
Okay. Well, we can revisit it.
They just made a motion, to go with SAVES, for the fiscal 24, juvenile, it is a juvenile detention contract, not the.
Subsidy contract.
So,
We're going on.
Okay.
just a subsidy.
Okay, the subsidy.
I thought we were voting on the detention.
No, I was voting on it.
See, we're voting on two contracts today. We're voting on the subsidy and the juvenile detention center contract.
Detention center comes next after we get this one.
This special call meeting for this contract on
For the subsidy.
contract.
Okay. For the subsidy.
There's something going towards them,
All right, you have to list the detention center on.
Right.
That's all I know.
So,
Well, we need a contract.
oh, you wouldn't try, okay. So Larry, you
You
say
can't put it on there till you contract with them.
okay.
But let's approve that,
But we don't want to do the state subsidy.
You have to
We
put
don't
a
approve that.
detention center on here. That's what this meeting was for.
but we want to approve that too, though.
No, you don't approve one thing of that. The special call meeting for subsidy contract. That's the only thing you can approve of that. That's what the meeting was called for.
How can you approve this without having this done? This is incomplete without this. How can you approve this without having this done? That's what
You can write whatever detention center you want on there. You don't have to have a contract. You can write it on
Number
there.
5 says you have to have a contract on that.
Well, you gotta approve this
You got to approve that first. And the state doesn't want that contract anymore. The moment say they don't need to see that contract or say, so whoever we choose. So we just got to approve what the special call meeting was for, that contract there. And then the next meeting, we want to approve savings contract. We have a meeting for savings, or you kind of whatever they do.
It says county.
That's the motion is the commissioner.
Shall contract.
The county will approve this contract.
Now, we're going to approve a contract with Sarah Shores to go over there and approve this for the company.
Right.
Yes, so
That's what the initial, special call meeting stated as part of the curriculum, the agenda. But yeah, I mean, I see exactly with number 5, I mean, it seems like.
Can we approve this without?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, okay, well,
Going to approve the subsidy? Okay.
yeah, and refrain, that motion is approve, make a motion to approve the Alabama Department of Youth Services long-term detention subsidy contract.
With the DYS informing them of your
Indicating.
indicating who you select for them to pay.
Indicating, say, what's the name of it? Say's,
Southeast Alabama Youth Services.
Southeast Alabama Community Services.
Say it's basically the juvenile, I mean, provider.
That's the clarification of the motion.
That's it.
Well, that's a motion by Commissioner McGowan,
Second.
second by Commissioner Allen. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. That's it.
Now,
Now you can come back and meet and get the Sage contract at next, bring it up for the next meeting.
And we need to talk about paying the bill.
And get the agreement from Sage with the payment plan. That's really good.
for the first meeting in November.
So, a motion is adjourned.
Motion carried by.
Motion to adjourn? I make a motion to adjourn.
But Marlon did it.
Oh,
You
second.
Yeah, all in favor?
All right.